For those joining us, we'll start with in-person questions first, and then those joining us on Zoom, please submit your questions in the chat. We've got Shakira, Austin, and Angel Baker here. First, we'll start off with an opening statement from Coach.
Just grateful for the win. Real sad that Kiki did not have a chance to play today. I know what it feels like. We lost Arnetta to an injury 2 weeks ago, similar. So when she went down, my heart dropped because I almost relived what happened to us. And she was a starter for us, so I know how that feels. But grateful for the win. We have a lot of new faces. I thought there were a lot of good things. I thought that Shakira understood what she needed to do for the team to advance because that's what was needed today. I thought we were able to get some rust off, I guess. And I expect us to, we're going to have to play better tomorrow in order to play on Sunday.
Questions for Shakira or Angel? Please designate who you're directing your question to.
Shakira, you ended up with 27, 13, and 6 blocks, I believe it was. Are there just days when you know that more is going to be on your plate, and how do you sort of approach that? And then I guess to have this sort of performance on this stage, what does that kind of mean to you?
I think just coming into the SEC tournament, I just had a chip on my shoulder. I know the team did. And, we still have some new pieces like Coach just mentioned. And, I just took it upon myself to just, let them follow and, not wait for them to try to come along and just let them come after me. And then what was the second question? Sorry. I mean, it's great. This, to me, is the best league in the nation. I mean, we're going against the top every night. So, I mean, just looking out and seeing, the different broadcasts and, just all the attention that the SEC brings to the women's side, I mean, you got to love playing here.
Chantel Jennings with The Athletic. Shakira, I'm curious, is there a benefit to having just played South Carolina a week ago with the quick turnaround going into tomorrow?
I think there is. I think we're familiar with the scout. We've played them twice already. We know what, they pretty much want to do. And we also know the reason that we lost. So, having that quick turnaround and coming into the second game of the tournament with, a little bit more energy and effort, and I think we know what to do.
Right over here.
Shakira, Coach said that she talked to you about what needed to be done. What did that mean for you individually?
Just to be efficient and lead. I just need to be dominant, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just be efficient.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Right up here.
Angel, there was a point there in the third quarter where they cut it down to 1. Then you and Snuda hit back-to-back threes, I think it was. I think again in the fourth they cut it down to 3 and you guys responded. So what does it say about this team that when teams can cut down deficits and get close, that you guys are able to respond?
I think it just says we got fight in us, you know what I'm saying? We just being relentless, I guess, you know what I'm saying? Just always having to respond, when they cutting it close, just having to respond and not letting it determine the game or something.
Thank you, ladies. Questions for Coach?
Yolett, you've talked a lot about the importance of the NIT experience for your team and growing, but I'm curious, in the last year since then, are there any key moments or key times that you can point to that really either grew this team or matured this team or brought this team to this level?
Yeah, I mean, tons. The NIT, of course. So funny that you mentioned that because I just texted JR after Colorado beat Arizona, and I said, let's go dancing, baby. We got to go. That was a promise we made to each other in the NIT that we wanted to take the next step like Arizona did in previous years. We've fallen some. Our loss at Mississippi State really allowed us to look at each other and own some truths. I thought as a leader, I did not manage the group the best as far as the success we were having, and we started to lose our identity. So we had a heart-to-heart about that, and since then we've been on a roll. We've won 5 of our last 6 games. So we feel good about that. But we have learned a lot of lessons. Even the Belmont game, the first game of the season. After that, our players understood that no matter how much hype is about Ole Miss women's basketball, we're going to have to earn a win. And thank God Belmont's balling because we need them to win to help us out. But there were tons of lessons through our failures, but some through success. You know, playing South Carolina the way we played them the second time, beating numerous ranked teams. We've learned from all of those.
Coach, my question is, I'm just anxious to know what your reaction was to the double technical late in the game, the clap back. You know, we see that in the men's game, and it doesn't get called, but it often gets called in the women's game. What is your reaction?
Well, I was relieved once they said it was a double technical, because as soon as I saw them call it, I just screamed out, no, because we didn't need a momentum shift at the time. I think that society is still getting used to women being bold and competitive and brave. I get accused of being cocky all the time just because I believe and I want to win. That's something that I'm not going to have my players apologize for. Both Zippy and Kira wanted to win the game. You know, I thought the officials did their job. They can't allow that, but I'm here for it. I'm here for the competitiveness, not the tech maybe, but the competitiveness, and that's what the game is about. These young ladies have sacrificed a lot to get where they are, and when you see them express their emotion, that's not who they are, but that's a piece of who they are. They're competitors, and I think as we continue to grow the game of women's basketball, we need to support that.
I think after the South Carolina game, you said that.
Which one?
The second one. The second one. That, you know, part of it was you wanted to show that you were a team to be reckoned with, and that's kind of what the SEC tournament was a little bit about too. What do you think today kind of did for that message?
I thought it just got us back into our groove. You know, I told the players after the game, well, first of all, they didn't know how I was going to come in, and I went in there and started clapping them up, like, way to get 23, way to get 23. And they were like, oh, okay, yeah, well, let's celebrate, because they know that we should have played better. But I explained to them why I was able to let it go, because in the tournament, you either win or you go home, you know, and we won. So there were some things that I didn't like, but we have to let that go. We know we have to play better tomorrow versus South Carolina. We know they're the #1 team in the nation, but we also know that this is a great stage and a great opportunity for us to show up and perform. We are still chasing a great seeding in the NCAA tournament. That is our purpose. As far as us in South Carolina, our race is different. They've been here, been there, done that. This is new for us. Do we want to play Sunday? Yes, but I don't believe in skipping steps. Now, if we give ourselves a chance and we figure out how to get there, great. But if we don't and we play good basketball and we can play against the #1 team in the nation, I like our chances in the NCAA tournament.
Coach, what are you doing in preparation in order to beat the #1 team in the nation tomorrow?
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, you don't really when you play South Carolina, you can't think about beating them. You have to think about things in small chunks. So it's per quarter, you know. So we have goals each quarter that we want to attain, and that is how we will approach it. If we go in saying, guys, we got to beat South Carolina, and then we just played ourselves. 40 minutes is a long time, and there are a lot to handle. So we're going to take it probably media at a time. But we know that there's some things that we want to do. Our players can give me the scout. So it was kind of good that we just played them. See, we hadn't played Florida in forever. You know, I think when we played Florida, we had just had COVID. We were out for like 10 days. They had people out. It was a mess, and it was in December. So this was like a really, really new game. Tomorrow will be familiar.
Yolett, I asked this question to Mike Neighbors today after their game, but I'm curious for you heading into the game. I think all of us can sort of give you some big picture reasons why South Carolina is very, very good, but I'm curious for you as a coach that sees the game very differently. What are the small reasons why their team is not just very good, but elite?
Well, South Carolina is elite. One, I think when you're elite, it takes a couple things. It takes experience. They have that. And their players know who they are. And so, like, Boston knows who she is. Every player does their job. And I don't ever see them really shy away from that. You know, they are who they are. My team is very young, so sometimes we go through an identity crisis. You know, we need Maddie to be extremely active on the glass, run the floor, put the ball on the floor here and there in her kill zones, and sometimes she forgets that. You know what? She's a sophomore. South Carolina is a team that has been there numerous times. And so that is what makes them elite. And then the things that, you know, you can say, oh, well, they don't shoot the three well. Well, they don't care because they know that they can rebound. So they're going to crash the glass. And I think that's what makes them special. Teams that know who they are. We're still trying to figure that out. And hopefully we could continue to grow in that. But we got to grow quickly because we want to make a deep run in this tournament and also in the NCAA tournament.
Coach, I think I know the answer to this, but I need to ask it anyways to get you to say it. You said the performance wasn't good enough to win tomorrow. Was Shakira's performance good enough to win tomorrow?
No, just because they're not going to let Shakira do that tomorrow. If she has to put out that type of energy to have that type of performance, she's not going to make it to the fourth quarter. It's going to be a total team effort tomorrow. Now, would I love for her to have 27, 13, 4 assists, 6 blocks? Absolutely. But I'm telling you, then we're going to need some other people to do some things as well. Shakira just needs to continue to be efficient. She needs to lead. She needs to understand how important she is on the floor and use that for our advantage. But other players need to come to play. That is how we were in the game with South Carolina. Monk, Snutter, Angel, I mean, the whole gang came out and they were ready to perform. And it's going to be a total team effort.
That's all we have for today, Coach. Thank you.
Thank y'all.